The question often comes up at companies about the return on investment, so to speak, of their CSR activities and whether they should be promoting them. Now, some companies I find go overboard. For every dollar they spend on so-called CSR activities, they might spend $2 on advertising and promotion and trumpeting that around the world. That's a lack of authenticity that comes out very clearly. In today's world, it's about authenticity, it's about caring, it's about transparency. Those are three essential elements. And if any of those are found lacking, then people are not going to want to do business. They're not going to want to be your employees, customers, etc. But beyond that, there's a broader question, and which is the whole relevance of the idea of CSR. We find that CSR is often a grafted-on activity onto an existing business model, which is fundamentally dysfunctional in terms of its net impact on society. So you're a company that's producing food that is making people unhealthy and giving them blood pressure and diabetes and so forth, and obesity. Therefore, you put some money into nutritional education programs, or if you're a tobacco company, you put some money into anti-smoking, etc., etc. And that's something that makes you feel good, perhaps makes some of your stakeholders feel good, and you think you've done your bit. But the reality is that if your fundamental business model itself is causing negative net impact on society, then that's where you need to start. So the idea of conscious capitalism says society is in fact one of your major stakeholders. In fact, you could think of them as your primary stakeholder. That in fact, if your business is on the right side of society, the whole idea of CSR becomes moot. Companies that are truly conscious businesses don't even need to have a separate CSR department. They are by definition responsible to society. It's like quality control. If you recall a couple of decades ago when that became a big buzzword and a big emphasis for many companies, people started creating these large quality control departments. And what we very quickly found out was that the companies that had the biggest quality control departments had the most quality problems. And that wasn't solving it. The companies that did the best with quality were the ones that did not have a quality control department, where quality was everyone's job. It was built into the very essence of what they were doing, and every step of every process was focused on quality. And likewise with CSR. And this has to be everybody's job. We can't just say that we can continue to do what we do and damage the environment and create all this cultural pollution and do things that are unhealthy for our customers ultimately and so forth. And our CSR people will take care of the negative effects. It doesn't work like that. So it has to be built into everything that we do. The idea of being socially responsible and being on the right side of society ultimately. So for example, Indra Nooyi now at PepsiCo has been talking about she wants Pepsi to become a good company. What does that mean? Right now, a lot of Pepsi products, and she's acknowledged this, that they're not really very good for you as a customer. They're sugary drinks, they're salty snacks, and so forth. And at a time in the world when we do have an obesity crisis and we do have type 2 diabetes problems, not just here but around the world, and we have heart disease and high blood pressure and all these things, that in today's world, in fact, the needs are very different. So when Pepsi started, those things weren't really a problem. And therefore, it was all right. But in today's also, what they want to do is to move people gradually away, because people are still buying those products because they're sort of addicted to them. Right? The salt and the sugar and the oil, those things are all very addicting and people crave those things. But they want to gradually move people away from their traditional products towards products that are sort of neutral for your health, like water and things like that, and ultimately towards products that are actually beneficial to your health. Nutritionally enhanced, vitamin enriched, etc., those kinds of products. And they want to use the power of their marketing. Marketing is an enormously powerful institution with a lot of resources. Behind it, it can be used for good, or it can be used to actually create negative impacts. So we can use the power of marketing to move people into those directions and nudge them towards healthier choices. It's not like we're being a paternalistic and sort of nanny state and telling people what they can and cannot have, but we're using the power that we do have to help people make the right choices and move towards healthier things that are good for them. We are moving towards really need-centered marketing rather than desire-centered marketing. The problem that marketing has run into, and Len Berry at Texas A&M has written a wonderful essay in one of our books on marketing reform, saying marketing needs to recapture its mission, which is really about focusing on the real needs rather than just on desires. Now, if the needs and desires can coincide, that's great. If I can get people to really desire something that they also actually need, that's fine. But often that's not the case. People desire something, but they actually need something else. So responsible marketing, conscious marketing is about seeing that and actually leading customers in a better direction. And that's where I think we're headed. So again, the idea of responsibility is something that permeates throughout the business and all of its functions. So it needs to be responsible or conscious marketing, responsible conscious finance, operations, environmental impact. We have to be conscious and responsible in all of those areas.